Welcome back to study section 5 on HG 302. In the last study section, we discussed the decision-making functions of a farm management. But in this study section, attempts were made to define costs, explain the various types of costs, and discuss the implication of costs in farm management. So at the end of this study section, you should be able to explain the meaning of cost, discuss all the types of costs, explain on how to calculate average and marginal costs, and lastly, highlight some of the implications of cost. Let's talk about this learning outcome one after the other. Costs or cost of productions are payments or expenses made either directly or indirectly to obtain the input utilized in production. Agricultural cost is referred to as the value of agricultural inputs used in the production of agricultural outputs, that is, the cost of producing a product such as yam, maize, eggs, goats, and cattle. It is also known as expenses incurred in producing a particular amount of product in a particular period of time. Cost of production can also be referred to as accounting costs. Cost of materials used in the production process includes labor costs, fertilizer costs, feed costs, depreciation costs, maintenance and repair costs, selling and administrative costs, taxes and interest payments on money borrowed. An agricultural economist view cost of production as embracing a considerable alternative cost or opportunity cost. For instance, if a farmer produces only commodity A and no B, the cost of producing commodity A is the accounting cost plus the forego return of commodity B, being known as economic cost. Therefore, total cost can be calculated as fixed cost plus variable cost, and total cost is being denoted as TC, while that of fixed cost is denoted as FC, and variable cost is being denoted as FC. In considering costs involved in agricultural production, five main costs are being identified, which are variable costs, overhead fixed costs, financial costs, capital costs, and personal costs. Variable costs are expenses which vary in size positively with variation in output level. Variable cost rises and falls with output, and it is a zero when the farmer is not producing anything. It is therefore sometimes called direct costs, and this type of cost includes the raw materials, the cost of direct labor, the running expenses of fixed costs such as fuel, ordinary repairs and routine maintenance, insurance of crops and animals. The reason for identifying the variable costs of a farm business is to give the farmer an idea of the size of change in terms of costs which will occur if he expands or contracts one or more of the enterprises. So, knowing the likely variable cost or gross income, the farmer is in the position to make a quicker decision of the merits or otherwise of making a change in the enterprise. Overhead cost is also known as fixed costs. Fixed costs are costs which do not vary with the level of output. In other words, fixed cost is the same regardless of the level of production. Apart from being fixed, another characteristic of fixed cost is that it must be incurred even when no output is yet forthcoming. Thus, a businessman must erect a factory, office buildings, and hire staffs even before the factory starts any production. So we have different types of overhead costs, which includes total overhead, operating and activity costs. Kindly read more about the type of overhead cost in your study materials. Finance cost. This covers the annual interest paid on borrowed money and the repayments made on loans where hired purchases are being made. These types of costs are associated with loan repayments and insurance costs lumped together in one sum. Capital costs. These costs are usually associated with costs incurred in the process of providing capital assets used in farm production. Example of these costs includes cost on capital projects like building, machinery, land purchase, land clearing, water supply, extra livestock, and planting of palm trees, rubber, cocoa or fruit trees. Personal costs. Purchased food, clothing, medical expenses, school fees, family traveling costs are considered as personal costs. In some cases, some of these items are directly related to the level of output of the farmer. For example, an ill or undernourished farmer is not likely to have a high work output, and money spent on food or medicine is likely to have a direct effect on his total farm output. Therefore, the minimum total living or personal cost of the farm are normally included in the total overhead costs when budgeting for family farm. These costs are one of the most important and unavoidable items in the total farm costs. Average cost, total cost of producing an output divided by the number of output units, that is total cost divided by total product. And total cost is being represented as TC, while total product is being represented as Q, which is the unit of output produced. Average cost is the sum of the average fixed cost and average variable cost. That is the sum of average fixed cost, which is AFC, and AVC, average variable cost. Marginal cost. Marginal cost is being denoted as MC, which is also known as incremental cost, and is being referred to as the additional cost that can be incurred during the production of additional units of output. It is the increase in total cost resulting from increasing the output by 1 unit. That is, marginal cost, which is denoted as MC, is a change in total cost over change in total products. Usually, profit maximization is the motive of any farmers. Therefore, profit is obtained by subtracting cost from revenue. In this case, it is important for farmers to understand the nature and the structure of production costs and how they affect the decision-making process. Secondly, cost functions usually help the producers to determine the most profitable level of production, that is, the output which gives the maximum profit, as well as the level of output in which production process depends. Lastly, cost function helps the farmer to determine how much variable factor to be employed in combination with fixed factors in the production of an output for maximum benefits. This makes us to come to an end of this study section. I hope you've learned 1 or 2 things from this video. Kindly read more in your study materials for more understanding. Join me for the next study section. Thank you for listening.